Hello and welcome to my video. In today's video I'd like to show you how you can work with acrylics using watercolor techniques. I will be using only 3 colors plus black, and I want to paint 2 small landscape paintings and spend about 15 to 20 minutes in total. This exercise you can do with very few materials, and it's also perfect if you don't have much time. This type of warm-up exercise is perfect for sketching and for studies for larger paintings. I like to start the day with these types of exercises to warm up before I continue my day painting at the easel on larger paintings. As you can see, I divided my paper into 2 using masking tape. I want to have one that is a square and one that's more a landscape format. And the photograph in the upper left corner is the photo I'll use as inspiration. I'm not going to copy it exactly, but I want to try and capture the feeling that I had when I took the photo. There are, of course, a lot of differences between watercolor and acrylic paint. One of the biggest differences is the way you start your painting. With watercolor, you don't have white paint, so you want to reserve the white of the paper. So you always start with the lightest colors and then you build up layers. And that is the approach that I will be using in these 2 small paintings. At this point I'm adding some really dark color for contrast, and at the same time I'm trying to avoid painting in the areas that are going to remain light, like the cloud in the sky, and also the sea in the distance is going to be lighter in color. I want to keep my painting loose and quite simple in the composition. So to kind of force myself to do this, I always use quite a large brush, especially in the beginning stages, where when you use a larger brush it's almost impossible to get caught up in making detail. So that's a good tip if you're struggling with adding too much detail. Use a larger brush. You'll see me using paper towel a lot. I find that it's very handy to control wetness of the paper. It's also very good to smear or drag the paint across the paper surface. I also use it to absorb paint if I got too much paint on the paper surface. So far I've been using brushes from the hardware store, but please feel free to use brushes that have much softer and finer bristles like these ones. I wouldn't, however, recommend using your best and most expensive watercolor brushes to working with acrylic colors, as it is difficult to get all the paint out, all the acrylic paint out of your brushes, and they will get worn and eventually ruined if you use them with acrylics. Just something to keep in mind when you're doing these exercises. For this next step I want to use a hardware brush, or at least a brush with kind of old and stiff bristles, and you'll find out now that it's excellent to kind of add shrubs and grass in the foreground. Another big difference between watercolors and acrylics is that once your acrylic paint layer is dry, it stays in place. You cannot disturb it. In watercolor, it's actually possible to ruin your previous layers because they're not waterproof. With acrylics, you do not have this issue, so you can just go ahead and add another layer and several layers on top of that, and you will not get any problems in the form of disturbing the layers underneath. Keep adding layers of paint to create depth. My initial layers ended up drying a lot lighter in color, so I'm actually reapplying some darker colors to kick up that drama that I was looking for in my painting. One advantage of working on two paintings at the same time is that you can work on the other one while the first one is drying. It's time to evaluate my painting. I feel the horizon line is very dominant, and I feel that if I add some land to both sides of the painting, the viewer's eye will stay more in the picture instead of darting back and forth along the horizon line. Yes, this is definitely already a lot better. See how our eyes stay in the painting now? Exploring the land and the sky. We're not just following the horizon line off the page. Let's peel off the tape and have a good look at what we made. My finished paintings do not look like my reference photo, but they do have that sense of light and drama that I was after, and I definitely have some material and ideas for future and larger paintings. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.